Welcome to RMM Help. In this session we provide an overview of purchase order processing in RMM. In the National Health Service and many public sector organisations, departmental purchase order processing has been de-emphasised. Financial control is still vitally important, and many operation and maintenance organisations such as NHS medical engineering departments and estates departments will still have annual budgets and have to split that down and budget their expenditure and monitor it during the course of the year. And linked into that intrinsically has always been purchase order processing and stock control. So if your department doesn't operate a standalone purchase order processing system, what we can do for you is we can still link to budget monitoring and stock control, and you can create a purchase requisition which would be created in electronic form, and that would then be transmitted to the finance department. They would process the purchase order, and then, as we see on this schematic as to how RMM purchase ordering works, when you receive the stock, you'll also be given a copy invoice to be able to reconcile on that, and that would be the completion process of that order process within the corporate purchasing system. So whichever way your department works, RMM can provide a solution, something to help you. So this overview is how the existing purchase order processing system works. It's not yet been converted to be a web-based solution, and if we do move ahead with that, which is more than likely, we will almost certainly streamline the system to take into consideration modern day practices. So for instance, when we look at our schematic here, on the right hand side at the top we've actually got standing orders. Typically now with web-based ordering, where you can order online in the morning and have goods delivered in the afternoon, we tend not to have those kind of standing orders, which might have been for a local supplier where your work staff could go and call off items that were required, and that would be done on that standing order basis. Alongside that, we then, to the left, we've got stock orders, and that's the typical method of processing. And then we've got service orders, so that might be a medical engineering department that carries out a service looking after a local nursing home medical equipment, and that would be done on a service order basis. And variation orders, they are variations to a service order. The system links to budget monitoring, and it also gives you the ability to be able to authorize orders as they're processed, and you can set up individuals with an authorization level. So you could have supervisory authorization levels, and this is a fail-safe to stop large purchase orders being issued without the organization knowing. So that process then is to authorize, and then we manually sign that order off, ready for being issued. It goes off into order processing. The goods are ordered and then received. We receive stock, reconcile the invoice, and the process is finished. This is a Windows Form version of a control file form for setting up our purchase ordering, and this would be added into the RMM control file. It would show the number of periods in a year, what the current period is, whether we use auto numbering on our purchase ordering, invoicing with receipts, and so on. And in the bottom left hand corner, the user definable budget analysis headings, there is a separate video on that, but briefly you can set up your budget headings, and beneath that you can have sub accounts with unlimited sub accounts and put budget allocations on that and monitor it during the course of the year. The remainder of setting up in the control file is shown here, where we would be setting up our delivery addresses, any special instructions to go on purchase ordering, our VAT codes and rates, our accounting period dates, and the authorization levels. And that would be done from a purchase ordering drop-down menu list. The purchase ordering cycle fully conforms to existing NHS standards with order types of stock, service, standing, contract and variation, and all via a single easy-to-use order creation routine. This is the purchase ordering main menu, and if you could imagine that this would be translated into the current web-based version, where we would still have a data list which would be a listing of outstanding purchase orders, and when you double click on an order you'd see the order details. So this gives you the ability to be able to filter for orders in exactly the same way as you use the standard lists within ResMan. When we process a purchase order, it's in 3 stages. We create an order header including our budget coding for the order. Stage 2 is entering all of the order line details, including line specific budget codes. So we might be ordering one item for, say, a departmental user, and another line on an order for another departmental user, and they would be different analysis codes. And then stage 3 is the transaction types, and that gives the full range of NHS specific order status requirements. And you can see the drop down menu there with the ability to view and edit orders, authorize them, issue them, and so on. This would be the purchase order processing header form, where we can show the supplier where we want it delivering to, where we want it invoicing to, any special instructions, when it's required by, our references, the budget headings, and then in the bottom right hand corner we've got the order values. This would be the line detail part of the form, so you could have as many purchase order lines as you want with an item code, a product description. That would all be derived from for stock orders from the stock control system. This is another view of the header and order details. These would be enquiries that we could make on the system for orders, receipts, invoices, various purchase order transactions, so receipts and issues, stock and non-stocked items, and our stock levels. There's a number of purchase order processing reports, order details, order transactions, account transactions, a monthly summary, outstanding commitment. And this is an example of the outstanding commitment report, where we can run this at any time against all outstanding purchase orders, So that's orders that have not yet been, in the true sense of the word, completed. So there's still an outstanding commitment as far as our purchasing, that we're going to have to pay for these goods at some stage in the future. We've got purchase order inquiries, and finally a purchase order processing year-end procedure. And this is where we would net down all of our purchase orders, including our outstanding commitments, and make sure that they're completed and they're matched against our budget allocations, which would then give us a yearly figure to see whether we've operated during the course of the year within budget. And this concludes the overview of purchase order processing in ResMan. And if this or budget monitoring is of interest to you, please speak to your ResMan support contact.